And welcome back to This Week in the USHL. Bernie Corbett here with you. I want to thank our first guest, Ben Marshall, for joining us. Ben, bound for the Minnesota Gophers, a Minnesotan. And moving on, we have another player profile, current player profile. Andrew Schmit is going to be next up. He's a 19-year-old from Grafton, Wisconsin. And big guy, big power forward type at 6'3", 228 pounds. Second USHL season for Andrew, playing in 55 games so far this year. His offensive totals have taken a big jump from year one, as often is the case. We'll have him talk a little bit about what that's been like, having that first season of experience to draw from. And he is a commit to the University of Nebraska-Omaha and Dean Blaze. Of course, Dean Blaze, who spent time before going back to the college ranks in the USHL, has drawn very heavily, as you'd expect, from the USHL ranks, a team that qualified for the NCAA tournament, coming back to the WCHA this year and being a very strong impact team. And appears that Andrew Schmit will be a fine addition to the ranks when he does make the move to college after completing this season. But there's more hockey to be played in the USHL. For Andrew, a forward with the Lincoln Stars. And Lincoln is just 3 points behind Fargo as they are currently battling for their postseason life. And we want to welcome in Andrew Schmit. Andrew, thanks for joining us here on This Week in the USHL.
Hey, how are you doing?
Doing very well. And it appears that you're doing very well yourself. Fourth on the team in scoring. Big jump offensively, 36 points thus far, 13 goals, 23 assists. Last year in Chicago, this year moving on to Lincoln, and as we've talked to a number of guys over the course of the year, just to talk a little bit about what the difference has been from year one to year two. It's often a pretty dramatic ascent.
Yeah, well, last year, obviously there's a big jump between last year and this year, and I think a lot of it has to do with opportunity. The more opportunity I get, the longer a leash I get, and it builds my confidence, and when I'm confident, that's when I'm playing good.
Well, you've been playing at a very high level currently with a 5-game goal streak, and all those games have been wins. You're +6 over the last 5. But I think even more interesting is the fact that when you've scored this season, your team is 12-0-0 in games that you've scored a goal. So the pressure must be on when you're on the bench there. The fact that if you were able to tuck one, everybody's got to feel pretty confident it's going to be a W.
Well, I guess so. I didn't know that stat. But that's pretty cool. Yeah, I guess when the team's going, then that means I'm going. So that's good to know.
It's contagious, no question. And coming up on now, just passing your 100th career USHL game, that milestone, and 107 penalty minutes. It seems like you play a little bit of a physical game with that 6'3", 228-pound frame.
Yeah, I try not to worry about penalty minutes. I just play my game, and if I take a tough penalty, that's the kind that we can kill off. And I just try to stay away from the lazy stick penalties. If I take a hard penalty, it's easier to sit in the box and watch my team kill those.
Indeed, be able to send the message accordingly, and you're going to be able to move on and play for a coach who recently spent time back in the USHL before returning to the college ranks. What about your decision to Nebraska-Omaha? That's a program that has really built a very strong foundation with Dean Blaze and was able to make it into that Sweet 16 NCAA field this year. You're probably following them pretty closely.
Yeah, I was. As you know, they got the early exit, but
yep.
They got in. They had a great year, and their freshman class was very solid, and a lot of the guys I played against last year, top of the guys, top of the USHL, and I'm glad to be joining this next wave of guys going in next year, and Coach Blaze is very convincing.
Yes, he is. I've interviewed him a number of times from his tenure back at North Dakota. He certainly is, and has a very, as you'd expect, a guy who spent time coaching in the league, has a very strong belief in the league and the system. You may or may not be aware of the fact, currently, Andrew, there are 20 USHL alums on the roster this season for Nebraska-Omaha, and that team that qualified for the NCAAs. And also the entire coaching staff, not just Dean Blaze, but all of his assistants have experience in the USHL. That's quite a testament to the league.
Yeah, I saw that when the USHL they put out their list of teams in the tournament that had players from that had USHL alumni, and I was pleasantly surprised to see so many USHL guys. Because it's a testament to the league and how good it is at developing players.
This is your second year in the league, and we have talked all season long about just how ultra competitive that Western Conference has been. I mean, man, night after night. I mean, here you are 55 games into the season. You stand with 65 points, and that would put you in a little different position in the Eastern Conference. But in the Western Conference, you're just 5 points out of second place. There's a huge logjam there, and I know you guys are going to try to make some hay here as you hit this final stretch.
Yeah, exactly. That's our goal. Is we can get up to that second spot. We're gonna put together a good 5 games here, and you can never take a night off in the Western Conference. Everyone plays each other pretty tight. We're fortunate enough to have a pretty good record against our own conference. So, we got 5 more games, and we're gonna make the best of them.
You got the next one at home with Muskegon, and then we'll close out the weekend with a road trip to Sioux City. And talk about what it's been like to play at home. I mean, everybody thinks Lincoln in the world of sports. You think about Cornhusker football, but there's also Lincoln Stars hockey is a phenomenon and an attraction in and of itself. Really a unique place to play. You're coming from the state of Wisconsin, having played Chicago last year. What's that experience been like? Just to talk a little bit about the atmosphere and the aura that surrounds the Lincoln franchise, and to just what a game night is like in Lincoln, what a Lincoln home game is like.
Well, it's definitely a lot different than playing in Chicago. You've got a fan base that has high expectations for you, and you don't want to let them down. And you see them all. They come no matter what. They come to the games. I mean, last year Lincoln had struggled a little bit, and they still had fans coming out every game. I mean, packing the house. And this year especially, you got the light show going on, and if you're in the starting lineup, that never gets old. I mean, you would think it would after 30 games, but it doesn't. And it's great. All the guys, so you get recognized around town. I mean, people know who you are. It's great, quite the experience.
Yeah, that's right. That's something to see. I would imagine with as you talk about, you got your own laser light show. I guess that's probably worthy of any place in the NHL, let alone many people that may be concert goers to go for a musical experience around the rock and roll or something. That you got the lasers going pretty strong.
Yeah, it's. I mean, you could go just for the light show.
and just the venue itself, just the notes that I've seen over the course of the year about Lincoln. We've talked to anybody that's affiliated with Lincoln. Everybody talks about the barn and what kind of a barn it is. I have friends north of the border and so forth. But in truth, Lincoln, you're on the state fairgrounds and you're actually in a barn. It's actually a converted show barn.
It's definitely a barn. That's what you could call it. It's it's an older building, but they pack them in tight, and it makes for a better atmosphere.
Well, you also had a brother that enjoyed the USHL experience, who's playing in the CCHA right now at Ferris State. So that must have been helpful for you initially to have somebody in the family that had taken that same route.
Yeah, definitely. The USHL can be a pretty tough experience if it's your first go around, and definitely last year, I struggled a little bit, and it was nice to have someone who had been through it to to talk to, his older brother, and he knew what was going on. He had the same coach as I did, so I mean, it was definitely nice to have someone with that kind of experience.
Absolutely, and through 55 games, you've been an Ironman. You played in all of them, and looking at those numbers, I guess if I'm one of your teammates right now, I figure, well, if Andrew can keep that point streak going, we're going to win 5 more. We're going to get 10 points, and we're going to be in good playoff shape.
Yeah, exactly. Keep the streak going.
Absolutely.
Keep the win streak going, the goal streak going, and we'll be all right.
Indeed, Andrew. We wish you luck with that as you hit the stretch run and continue to battle in that very competitive Western Conference. And we'll be watching you in the Lincoln Stars and hopefully catch up with you down the road. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Andrew Schmit, power forward from Grafton, Wisconsin, from the Lincoln Stars, our guest here on This Week in the USHL.